What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fire, Sheets Haber. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's having a good one. Had a fun NBA sweat last night. I'm turning into sheets, by the way. Well, okay, I would love to turn into sheets, but I'm turning into the sheets as it relates to small slates in these sports, because it seems like every time there's 5 or less, or you don't need the crazy score to win. And I used to be the opposite guy. I used to be, give me 15 games, give me everything, and I'll weed out the stuff. Now these days, every time there's a small slate, I just keep crushing, and every big slate I keep getting crushed. So finished third in the Monster with one entry, obviously, and almost got there. It was fun. I let the Sims cook for the first set of games, and then I adjusted everything by hand after that. And it worked out almost really well. If Portland doesn't absolutely demolish, by the way, Portland's been like the hottest team in the NBA, doesn't demolish Orlando, I think I win it pretty easily with Paolo getting there. But still a great slate, another good night. Sheets, how are you doing? How was the game the other night? And then we'll get into today's slate.
Yeah, it was fun going to the Knicks game the other night. Yesterday, obviously, I didn't play. I went out. I was in the city. I missed all the fun sweat. And I'm ready to just get after the NBA today. Nice.
All right. Well, we'll get into it. And I'm sad for you that as we talked pre-show, that you didn't really get to see the best of Jokic. But you did get to watch your Knicks look pretty damn good. So
they sure did. And you know what? And you got to see a pretty vintage game out of Jamal Murray, actually. I think he had 30 in that game.
He looked great. I mean, especially early on, he played great. So and then you weren't here for that night. That was sort of a shit show of a slate, because I played all the Jokic, and I didn't think there was even a path in the world where I've seen him pick up 2 fouls early really quick. I've seen him pick up 3 fouls in the first half, and he just stays in the game sometimes.
Malone went full on 1950s.
Yeah, we went the old school way.
However, I mean, first of all, the game was close at halftime. It was like a 2-point game. And Jokic did, in fact, play the whole second half. So he did get 33 minutes at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
So, But obviously, like, you lose that momentum, it's kind of tough.
Yeah. And absolutely. And it's just, it's tough. And then, we're down. But they fought pretty hard without him, I thought. It's not good enough. And the Knicks your Knicks, this could be a thing. The Knicks, I really think the Knicks have a legit shot to beat anybody in the East in a playoff series. I know that's not a hot take, but they just look really good to me. I'm going to throw out a theme for today's slate and something to consider. There's 3 players playing who got snubbed from the All-Star game. This is a narrative that you should buy into. This is something that happens all the time. Every snub or every first All-Star appearance, but more so the snubs, these guys go at it the next game, especially if they're given the ball in their hands. And the 3 players we'll talk about today are going to be Maxey, LaVine, and Kyrie.
I was going to ask you about who they are. Okay, so we'll get right to it. So Maxey, LaVine, and Kyrie. Okay.
And I would think Maxey and LaVine would be more of the ones I would focus on today, but we'll see what we get to. But I'm going to let that. This is going to be a significant bump. And one thing, this bumping the projections, for players like 5 or 6 players that I really like, is making a huge difference. And I feel like giving me a much better chance. At least it's a way I've found to put my stamp on what SaberSim is building that actually has worked much better than the min-maxes as far as basketball is related. I think in other sports, you can do the min-max thing and get away with it with golf, where you can leave money on the table, with football, where it's high variance, especially shorter slates. But I don't think in basketball you can get away with it that easily unless you set a really tight, it should be 49.5 or 49.2 to 50,000 instead of the 48 that it's defaulted to. Otherwise, you're going to get 2,000 left on the table, and you're going to end up with guys like, I don't know, Aaron Gordon over Russell Westbrook, which is probably not the right thing to do, All right, let's start it off with the Clippers in Charlotte. What do you got going on over here?
Well, I have once again the Diabate as the top overall value on the slate again at 4,200. I have him over 6x, and I think he's the only guy I have over at 6x. I'm going to get to some others who I think are just completely mispriced, but Diabate so far looks like the best play overall on the slate. And then looking down here, I'm not really seeing too much else from this game. What are you getting to?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. So Harden did make the All-Star game, which is pretty, give him credit. He's had a really solid year for a team that's been depleted. So I'm not putting any extra stamp on him. I don't mind him in this matchup. I think we're going to start looking more, and it worked out really well for me the other night. That's the one thing that worked out well for me on Wednesday. What was it? I believe it was Wednesday. Was the Kawhi Kawhi's starting to get the minutes back. He's not going to look like much of a play on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I believe, is he still 64 over there? I got to double check his exact price over there. But also you could, he was playing the Spurs, so maybe he took a few extra shots. That's always possible. Kevin Porter Jr. for some reason, as he often does, shows up very early on SaberSim. But I as of right now would prefer to try to wait a little bit. If it's not that big of a wait. If there's any news that we get a Q tag after morning shoot around or something, maybe find some other value. But Porter is probably my favorite, and the one who never gets projected well. Actually, you know what? I'll change that. My favorite is actually Zubac. I think Zubac deserves a little bit of a bump, and he has plenty of upside against this Charlotte front line. We've seen him smash a bunch, and it's tough on the Charlotte side. I'm actually getting to. So Diabate did not start the other night, and is probably not going to start tonight, but he will get the minutes, and I think he's a reasonable play. I've got him in 25% of my first builds. Okaji, now this is interesting because everybody played him. He was like 70% owned, and I believe he busted pretty badly. Let me just double check that. But this might be a time to go back to him at lower ownership. They are still short bodies. It is different because Miles Bridges takes up a lot of the usage, and they did get Josh Green back. Yeah, Okaji had 16 fantasy points after the 33, but I think Okaji should be in consideration, and I think Miles Bridges is being under projected, so he's the other one I'm bumping his projection up on. I just think with he's got such a high ceiling, and yeah, you're going to have some floor games. It's not a great matchup, but he's got such a high ceiling with no LaMelo, with no Brandon Miller, that I think Bridges is the other one. So I actually have maybe a little more interest in this game than most. The other guy we have to think about is Nick Smith. He literally destroyed my good lineups the other night. He's been awful lately. He's going to get the opportunity and he's going to get the minutes. It's just a matter of what he does with them. So I actually have a little bit of interest in speculating on the Charlotte side after the first runs I did.
Yeah, I'm getting a bunch of Nick Smith also. We'll just see if I actually do it, if I have it in me. I probably will. Dallas, Detroit. So you already alluded to Kyrie. You could talk about that. Detroit guys, I am getting to both Jalen Duren and Malik Beasley from Detroit, and also, again, this is not a guy I play too often, but Tim Hardaway. He is only 3,900. He doesn't need much. Cade Cunningham at 10-1. In my current builds, I'm getting maybe like 10% of him. So yeah, I mean, if you want me to get me on board with this Kyrie snub thing, but that dude's strange. You know what I mean? I don't know what to make of him. So
he's the one who I think you maybe apply it to the least, but he's weird. It's hard to know how to make anything, as you know about him better than I do. I don't really know exactly what to do with this. So I as of right now, I am bumping him up because first of all, I like this game and this. I mean, it's a 1 point spread. I don't know why Dallas is favored, to be completely honest with you. I think Detroit should win this game, and it'll be in my bets later today. I'm 99% sure that Detroit will be one of my favorite bets of the day. I do like Kyrie quite a bit, and I do think that Daniel Gafford. So we look at the projection on Gafford, okay, and it's really hard to create a median based on different types of circumstances because guys have come in and out of the roster. Gafford has put up 41 or more in 6 out of 7. He's put up, 48, 50 in 2 of his last 3. He had a 71-point game against Charlotte not too long ago. It's a good matchup just in terms of center scoring against Detroit. So I actually am giving Gafford a little bit of a bump and Kyrie. That's all the interest I have from the Dallas side. On the Detroit side, I don't know what to do with this Paul Reed thing because that is sort of a strange. I don't understand entirely. I guess and
I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even have him projected.
SaberSim has him at 6x, and I'm trying to understand where this is coming from. And I understand that there's nobody else out unless there's been some coach speak that I may have missed. I'll revisit this one at 6 Eastern, but he's.
Wait,
I don't know why.
Which team?
Paul Reed for Detroit. I really don't know why this would be a spot.
I have him projected myself for 5 fantasy points. So I don't know. Maybe I missed him.
Yeah, I feel like it may just be a miss on projections. But I mean, he's a guy who the only reason I bring him up to is if he does get minutes at all, and Saberson's projecting him at 18 minutes. He's gonna look like good value if he does play 18 minutes. I just don't know why we would project him for 18 minutes out of the blue, unless there's been, again, I'll look into coach speak and all that. But as of right now, I'm still avoiding it. I like the Duren as well. I think Tobias Harris is very, very reasonable. I think Asar Thompson at low ownership is extremely interesting.
I see the discrepancy here. So
Yeah,
I have 13 points projected for Isaiah Stewart, and they have him out.
So Isaiah Stewart, I think, is suspended tonight.
Oh, so that's it then. Okay.
Well, I don't know if because I've got him at 0.
Yeah.
So that's going to be what it is. The thing is, it still doesn't mean that it's like a guaranteed play, and it doesn't mean that he's even going to play at all, to be honest with you. They don't necessarily need to run 2 bigs out there against Dallas. You really only have Gafford on the other side, who you're afraid of as a big. So if Duren can come close to matching Gafford's minutes, either way, Duren, Tobias Harris, it's a small slate, so I'm probably not going to X out Tim Hardaway today. On the bigger slate the other night, I did it, and I felt very good about it. He put up 8 fantasy points in 28 minutes. Never feels like the right thing to do. Smaller slate, I'll leave him in the pool. But Asar Thompson is the one I think I have the most interest in, just because we know the upsides there. He's a wide range of outcomes guy. It's a good pace matchup against Dallas. So Asar Thompson is the one that I'm giving my little boost to. But everybody else, I'm just letting the projections sort of roll, which is going to give me a good amount of Duren.
So if this is there are a couple of places that are picking up this Paul Reed over Isaiah Stewart thing. We'll just take a look at it. We'll see closer to 6-7 o'clock how it all looks.
Yep, and I think you're going to see a lot of spread out stuff. We'll probably get some more news after this morning shoot around. Of course, right as we get out of here, we have the oddest, most difficult timing, I feel like, of any show. We have to do it right when all the news hits. You know what I mean? And then also in the morning we do everything, and then it's like, oh, these 3 guys are out. Like right after the show.
Right.
All right, Chicago and Toronto. What's showing up for you here?
Wait 1 second. Details. Okay, so you mentioned what's his name? Zach LaVine. I would like for him to be a play anyway before I would just play him.
He's out of the game.
Oh, he's out. There you have it. Okay, there you go.
But again, look for his next game. That's sort of why I wanted to highlight it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm right. This is no wonder why I'm getting some of these guys. So I'm getting actually some of these guys, like 20% Kobe White, 20% Pirtle, 15% Lonzo, 13% whatever. Is this? And once again, as always, 24% Jalen Smith. Like, I just love to give me Jalen Smith.
I love Jalen Smith more than he's their favorite guy.
And I actually am low owned today, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Is this what's his name news already factored in the Zach LaVine, or he was just ruled out?
I have him as out officially. I don't know when the news came in, but it's because of the snubbing, maybe he just sits out. I don't know. I'm guessing he's out for today. So I think that's why the projections look so good for the rest of the Bulls. It wasn't just out. It was out, I think, a little bit early enough to where the projections have updated with it. But I'm like, are you getting anything on the Toronto side?
Am I getting anything on the Toronto side? Let me just see. No, I don't. Yeah, maybe RJ Barrett. I'm getting like 6%. I already mentioned Pirtle. I'm getting decent amount of that. I'm getting about 15% Pirtle and a very little bit of RJ Barrett.
Yeah. So I'll start with the Bulls side real quick. We're going to bump up the projection on Lonzo anytime LaVine's out, but also Lonzo's starting to trend more into it. You know what I mean? He had a bad second half and they got smoked, so he didn't get the full run. So don't count on his minutes being as low as maybe some people think. Actually, Saberson's got him at a healthy 28. Love Lonzo here. I think Vooch is solid, but it feels like maybe a little too much ownership. I don't know. It was without LaVine, so all these guys look good. Kobe White, we'll have to see if they lift his minutes limit, because they were keeping him between 24 and 8 in the last and 28 in the last game. And Saberson's got him at 31.5. I'd have to double check on that one, and we'll get some clarity later today. So it's either going to be Kobe White or Giddey for me, but Kobe White would be the guy I'd like to play at 59. 5,900 is probably just a little too cheap for him anyway, even at the 28 minutes, to be honest. And then you're getting to getting to a little bit of Patrick Williams, a little bit of Jalen Smith. So I actually have quite a bit of interest in the Bulls side, but I'm afraid because we've had one guy out for the Bulls like most of the season, and even I got a little Dosunmu too, and I feel like everyone other than Kobe White is sort of priced for that. So it's not like we should treat Levine being out as like maybe this revolutionary thing. He's been out, at times. Kobe White's been out at times. We've had there's been a lot of guys who are missing. Patrick Williams is out for a long time. So I don't know that the projections should take us all to the Bulls. We'll see later today. It depends on what other news we get. And Toronto is just impossible to try to figure out without. So like Quickly and Grady Dick are both being projected in right now. If either or both of those guys are out, so if both of them are out, I'm going back to Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown tore it up at no ownership the other night.
He did.
He's been doing it, and that was without Dick and without Quickly. But the real play has become Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett. As of right now, only Barrett and Podol, and Podol too. Only Barrett and Podol are showing up for me, but this is going to be very different if we get news on. And by the way, Kelly Olynyk is another one. So Olynyk, Quickly, and Grady Dick all questionable, along with Jamel Sheed, which is just extra minutes. I think we might end up doing more with Toronto, depending on what happens with that. But again, first look, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, so I have an opinion on this Denver Philly game. I mean, it's not going to be particularly earth shattering, but Aaron Gordon is like starting, and he's 4,400. It's funny. When I was at the game, I saw him start. I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And I was wondering if he was like 1,000% owned. I think it was 4,100 in the last game starting.
Yeah.
And he ended up playing 30 minutes. I don't know how he ended up. I mean, seemed active enough. I just think that's too cheap, and I think that he's got to get jammed, right? I mean, I'm presuming. I mean, if he starts again, so yeah, he's top value in this game to me by a lot. And then you have Oubre again, and then we got the one other guy that you alluded to this for the All-Star game thing. So Tyrese Maxey at 9,700. So yeah, I mean Tyrese Maxey and Oubre and Aaron Gordon, and then as always, Jokic is in play. So it just depends on what the rest of the Bills look like. I'm currently not getting to Jokic, but that could always change.
Yeah, it was nice to see Gordon playing the 30 minutes that he did, just because we didn't know that he would be able to. I would just say that it's a little tricky with him to it's not like a guaranteed he's going to get there type of guy. You know what I mean? Oh, he's 4,400.
But put him on the court for 30 minutes. I'm going to have to play him.
I'll have to play some of them. I won't have to like lock him in. You know what I mean? Because there's plenty of 18 fantasy point games.
Now, again, also keep in mind that there was an extraordinarily strange rotation because Jokic came out of the game after 2 minutes.
Right.
So there's no guarantee that if you go the regular rotation, that's just the way it's going to end up working out for him. But he was treated like a starter. He really was. What they ended up doing was really funny. So they took Jokic out with 2 minutes, and then they basically just presumed that he got the full 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did with the rotation. They just basically replaced him with I think they brought Braun in for him or something like that. And then they left him out, Jokic, until 6 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Right.
And then the only difference was that they just played him the whole second. Maxey, Oubre, Gordon, those are my top ones.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing, and I don't care if it comes back to bite me because in the long run, it's never going to. I'm bumping up Jokic's projection. Look, so I'm supposed to expect on Philly's side who's Yabusele, who's like 6'7", is gonna guard him. That ain't gonna work. I don't know which way he's gonna get there tonight, but I would be surprised if Jokic doesn't bounce back with a huge game. I know
sure.
It's just that the issue is just getting to him, like you were saying, but at 12K. And when I see the 63 projection for a guy who averages 68 against a team that can't guard him, I just feel like it should be higher than 63.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I read somewhere that Jokic commented that Eric Sheets-Haber tweeted about him online, and that he was going to make sure to come out a really, really big game today. So
the old get revenge on Sheets narrative.
Sheets revenge, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on.
So I'm getting to a ton of Westbrook in my first builds. I don't think you have to do this, but I probably don't want as much as I got in my first builds because it's like 65%. But I'll probably end up near the field on him. I'll probably end up near the field on Gordon because there's not enough value. And I will definitely be above the field on Jokic. The other guys are all just take shots. And I did mention the Jamal Murray thing because like you put a guy like that in Madison Square Garden the other night when he was playing, and he was one of the guys that was like, you just play the heat check guys who are going to be, especially heat check guys who are going to have a lot of the ball in their hands a lot. Because if things start going in, he's going to start taking control. And by the way, his usage was incredible that game. So I'm not necessarily expecting the same thing tonight. So I'm not. I currently don't have any of him. He's been in good enough form lately where you could talk me into it for sure. But yeah, definitely interested on the Denver side. The large field play is Christian Braun. There is a massive ceiling with this kid. He's really found his way. Now, obviously, with Aaron Gordon being back, it's sort of hurt his projections every day. He's got some huge games with Gordon back. So I'm not going to cross that one out. Neither am I going to cross out Strother. But the only guys that upgraded were projection-wise were Braun and Jokic.
I don't need Strother. I don't think I need to.
He's coming into it a little bit. Although again, yeah, Strother without Gordon was a lot more fun than Strother with Gordon.
Yeah.
He was doing it for a while. I am also going to make a massive increase on the Tyrese Maxey side of things. Look, Denver has an interesting team. Their defense has been better than people think, but they don't have a guy to guard the point guard that I feel like it can do a good enough job on Maxey. I don't know how anybody guards this guy. He's like the fastest guy I've ever seen. So I will bump up Maxey's projection for sure. He's one I expect to be well above the field on. So if I can find value, Maxey and Jokic feels like a pretty good place to spend some money. And if you can get Kyrie in there also, hey, it works out for my narratives. It works out for my Jokic thing. It's just going to be really hard value-wise at first look. The thing that's interesting to me about the Philly side is, look, we had all these guys out with the same lineup where Justin Edwards has been the same price. Now, it's not like he's a guarantee for anything, but, he's playing the minutes. I would take some shots with Justin Edwards. I would take some serious shots with Ricky Council because I think that like he almost got there for me the other night to help me win the alley-oop. I just missed it. But he put up 34 in that game, and he was completely unowned. I like Ricky Council. I will bump him up. I will bump Maxey up, and I will bump Justin Edwards up a tiny bit just because I would like to get to more of him than I did initially. I also think Oubre's in play. I think I'd be looking at this as a potential game stack, to be honest with you, because Eric Gordon all he has to do is make some threes, and what did he put up the last game? He only ended up with 23. He had 20 at halftime, so that's not. But he's been over 23 games in a row. He's 4,200. We're looking for value. I don't mind giving a little bump to basically everything on the Philadelphia side because I think that it's weird how it goes. Like the projections seem to like, I don't know. It feels a little too prisoner of the moment to have these guys as low as we do. Again, large field play in the lottery is going to be Adam Bona because you think, I said Yabusele can't guard it, whatever. There's a chance Yabusele gets into foul trouble and then Bona comes in, and at 3,600 is an interesting contrarian play that I don't think anyone is going to do. So just want to throw it out there. All right, Boston and New Orleans.
Yeah, the only guy I'm really getting to from this game is Kristaps, and boy, he's been put up a really nice game the other day. So I'm getting like market weight, maybe 15% of him. Aside from that, the whole game for me looks like kind of a pass. Is Drew Holiday? He played for New Orleans or something, didn't he? Something I don't remember.
Drew Holiday played for New Orleans a long time ago. He did. Okay. Yeah, he did.
At least I remember. But
yeah, right.
So Porzingis at 15%, I have like that of him, and that's I think. Do I have anybody? 7% Missy, 6% Earl. Nothing much.
I don't have a lot in this game either. Kristaps can always hit the 8 threes like he did the other night, and you're going to be happy you had him. I'm just getting sprinkles from this game at the moment with everybody healthy for Boston. Really hard for me to get to much else. And on the other side, I have some Missy too. But I just want to propose, I think Zion is a tremendous tournament play. What are we afraid of? I don't care. Let's just ignore the minutes for a minute, okay? They won't let him play on back-to-backs. There's a whole thing that's going around where people have been criticizing me. I said I'm ready to play back-to-backs. I've been wanting to play. but I work for the Pelicans and I do what they say. And I think that we could read into maybe him getting some more minutes. Also, his minutes are trending up anyway. Also, in short minutes, Zion's last games, some of these are in like 22 minutes, 57, 48, 47, 50, 50. And that's 22, 26, 27, 28 minutes. So if he gets any minutes increase at all, I mean, he would look like an incredible play. So I'm kind of on the side of like, hey, Zion, you get the World Championships coming into town. He's my boost for the for DraftKings. You know, he's projected at 39 fantasy points. Even in the short minutes since he's come back, he's averaging 46 fantasy points. And this is Boston, who plays faster, and there's also nobody with his size. So I'm in on the going over on Zion and getting some more exposure there. So that's my tournament dart for the night.
I'm being called upon. I have to leave, but okay. I will just at least say that I'm getting a ton of Giannis tonight.
Okay, I'll finish it up. All right, man, do your thing.
Okay.
All right, guys, I'll talk Milwaukee real quick. So I know we don't have the screen up anymore, but Milwaukee side, I'm getting a ton of Giannis as well. I think it's the wrong thing to do. I think Jokic is the right thing to do. So I'm actually going to I bumped Jokic up. I'm going to bump Giannis down, and I'm bumping him down by 1 point, not a huge number, but I bumped Jokic up by 3.5 points. My guess is when I rerun, I'm going to end up with more Jokic than Giannis. I have no issue with Giannis. It's a great pace matchup. Everything works out, looks good. He loves to take these star versus star matchups personally, and you got Wemby on the other side. So I'm in on the I understand the idea. Just I can get Jokic at half the ownership of Giannis for only 500 more. I'm pretty much going to always take Jokic in that situation. Filler piece, Chris Middleton, I have 18% of. Lillard, I have like 5% of, but I don't mind Lillard at all. I don't mind Gary Trent at all, but it's just not getting to a bunch of them on my first builds. Then you get the Wemby thing, and I actually like the idea of taking a shot while he's low owned in general, as I always mention. I feel like the floor is really high. I feel like the ceiling in this matchup is really high. And I'm in on the Wemby tonight a little bit too. So I'm not going to be able to play he and Jokic. I prefer Jokic, but I am going to get to some more Wemby maybe than the field does. Other guys from this game, Devin Vassell, I think, is a good play. I think Chris Paul is solid. And I'll round it out and show my core plays and all that stuff when we get news after shoot around and all that stuff a little bit later. But as for right now, like those are the main ones for me. I think Castle's fine as well, but they're all just sort of like with the field guys. So my big tip, I look through the whole slate, and I like to usually say what I'm going. The guys who I bumped up and down, I bumped down Diabate just a tiny bit, just because I felt like his production was a little aggressive. I bumped up Gafford a tiny bit. I bumped up Lonzo a tiny bit. In fact, I might bump up Lonzo even a little bit more. Let's leave it where it is. I bumped up Kyrie. I bumped up Jokic. I bumped up Wembanyama, and I made a big bump up to Maxey. I also made small bump ups for Kelly Oubre, Ricky Council, Justin Edwards, and I bumped down Giannis. I bumped up Zubac just 1 point, and I bumped up Bridges 2.5 points. So those are my main takes for what I'm doing different at first look. Things are obviously going to change once I get everything settled, and later in the afternoon I will post all my exposures and everything on the site. I do want to take a moment to say, you guys take a look at the site. Really, we've got a lot of great things that we're doing. Sheets and Goldie's projections alone, I think, make it worthwhile for the extra, whatever it is, and in some cases $10 or in some cases $20 more than SaberSim. Then you get all of my stuff, all of my exact exposures, an incredible Discord channel, as well as all of Brandon Cruz's content, not just for NASCAR, but he's doing a lot of other stuff these days too. Adam Perry, who's awesome. We're so happy to have him aboard for NHL, MMA, all this stuff. All of Rhodey's content. And as I mentioned, like, I don't want to say it like in a weird way, but we're winning. We're winning. Let's try and find a way. We want to make you better. So anybody who is a site member, let me know if there's anything you need help with. If there's anybody who wants to be a site member, let me know. Let me or Goldie know if you have any questions. There's a lot of things that we're offering here, and I would at least encourage people do the 3-day trial if you want to. But really, come on in and join us. We feel like we have a lot to offer over here, so I hope you guys can join us. And I'm going to say good luck to everybody. We'll see you guys live at 6 Eastern. Let's have another good night. At least I had a good night. Hopefully we can transfer it over to the subs having a good night, and all of you guys as well. So good luck, everybody. We'll see you guys shortly.